Hello, and welcome to Session 10 of Mindfulness-Based Self-Care. Before we get started today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the last 9 sessions. Over the last 9 sessions, Barb and I have given you a multitude of tools. And I'm sure we both recognize that it can be somewhat overwhelming. One of the things we want to make sure that you understand is mindfulness is based on these 9 basic attitudes we talked about earlier in the program. The expectation is that you incorporate those attitudes, maybe one at a time, or if you can incorporate more than one, that's fine. Whatever you do, though, we believe that mindfulness is developed by daily practice. We think that it's important that you utilize those tools that resonate with you. So nobody expects you to use every one of these tools every day. Just utilize the tools that resonate with you, and again, be sure that you're practicing those 9 basic attitudes. I may be the person that utilizes doing things one mindfully. You may find that practicing sitting meditation daily is what you need to do. So whatever resonates you is what helps you in your journey to becoming mindful. Today we're going to talk about another concept. This is called thought labeling and thought observing. Thought labeling and thought observing are central to mindfulness meditation. This involves a focus on the thought processes rather than focusing on the breath. You know, over these past 9 sessions, our anchor is our breath, and that's where we focus when we meditate. But now we're going to move to those thoughts. When you focus the attention of your mindfulness on thoughts, you notice the thoughts in a present moment. You watch the thoughts come and go. You observe what they are, how they feel, what emotions do they evoke, their frequency, and other aspects of your thinking, but you do not go off with them. Stress response in the body leads to excesses of adrenaline as it prepares for safety maneuvers, fight, flight, or freeze. The body produces hormones and neurotransmitters that surge through the body and can lead to a state of hyperalertness. It can in fact get stuck in adrenaline overdrive. When this happens, this takes energy away from the immune system. All other physical systems, the heart, the lungs, your muscles, intestines, hormones, and nerves are unable to perform effectively because they are deprived. They also don't have the ability to repair. This is when illness happens. Thoughts can be strong stress producers. So becoming aware of our thoughts is the vital first step to make conscious choices about what thoughts to keep thinking. Yes, we can pick and choose what we want to keep thinking. Through mindfulness, you learn to observe rather than to let your thoughts lead you down pathways of worry. Labeling them helps to detach from the emotional impact of our thoughts. It is important to note that this is not thought and feeling suppression. Your thoughts and feelings are important. When they're suppressed, they continue to cause internal reactions. It's a lot like a pressure cooker, where the pressure builds and you just keep turning up the heat and eventually it just blows. We don't want that. We always acknowledge our thoughts. But how you interpret thoughts affects how you respond or react. Through thought labeling and observing, you can acknowledge your feelings, your thoughts, and gain useful insight that comes from within. Remember, we talked about the feelings from within and from our wise mind. Think about what triggers your thoughts. What thought pathways do you know you go down regularly? How do your thoughts affect how you react to various situations? Do you get angry? Do your thoughts cause you to avoid situations, to run away, to freeze into inactivity? What feelings do you produce with your thoughts? Observing and labeling thoughts in the way just described with interest detachment removes the emotional impact. So we're not stimulating that stress response we talked about earlier, that production of adrenaline and cortisols. And the most wonderful thing we learned, you are not your thoughts. You can pick and choose what you think. Observing and labeling during meditation. There are several different methods of observing your thoughts. You can imagine them in different ways. You can imagine your thoughts as you're watching, detached emotionally, watching those thoughts go down like leaves on a stream flowing down a river. You can visualize boxes on a conveyor belt, waves in the ocean, cars on a passing train. Be as creative as you like. They're your thoughts. If you want to dwell on a thought, you can hop on. You can ride down the stream. However, the point of the process to eventually let go of the thoughts. We only want to keep those thoughts that serve our highest and best. Another way, if you don't feel comfortable labeling your thoughts, is just to notice each of your thoughts without imagery. Do not judge your thoughts, just label them and move on. For example, while you're meditating, you get distracted by a noise. Rather than feeling irritated by the distraction, just label it hearing and move on. Be sure to accept your thoughts non-judgmentally. Remember again that basic attitude, non-judgment. We need to incorporate that in our thought processes. You can also use words like useful or not useful. If you don't want to do a visual of something moving and you want to just give it a label without imagery, useful, not useful, sound, an odor, any of those words, anything that works for you, to just categorize it without emotion. So I'd like to lead you in a meditation in which we're going to utilize this new concept. I want you to start by putting your feet flat on the floor. Take some slow, deep breaths and start just watching your thoughts as they go by. The idea is to just observe, to acknowledge the thoughts and let them go. Now, if it's easy for you with imagery, you can view them as that train going by, and each thought is a boxcar. You can view them as waves in the ocean. But the idea is to just watch the thoughts. Now, if you find that you are drifting off with the thoughts, go back to your breath as your anchor. So you can always pull yourself back gently with the breath. Notice thoughts do not last long. They come and they go. Just observe and be aware of the thoughts. Also be aware of those thoughts that keep coming back. Consider giving those thoughts a label. Keep watching observing. Note the I, me, mine thoughts. As the non-judgmental observer, think about how do you feel. Are your thoughts about the past? Are you thinking about the future? Once again, if you find yourself following those thoughts, pull yourself back to your breath. Note feelings and moods, how they come and go. What feelings have you noticed crop up with these thoughts? Now when you're ready, take a slow deep breath and come back to the room. What thoughts did you notice recurring? Those thoughts that recur tend to be the ones that are not necessarily producers of comfort, understanding. They tend to be those thoughts that produce stress and anxiety. How did you work with them? What labels did you create for your thoughts? Did you come up with labels? Did you find that observing with imagery helped? Or did you find that you just needed to just observe them without imagery? Any of these methods can be effective. What's important about thought labeling and thought observing is the idea that with emotional detachment, you can learn to let go of thoughts because we are not our thoughts. So it's important that you utilize this concept in a way that you start to decide what thoughts are really serving your highest and best. Because again, we are not our thoughts. Now, thoughts come into our head, we watch them leave, they do come back. Just because we don't follow them doesn't mean they don't come back. But the idea is, as we detach ourselves emotionally from the thoughts and just watch them and let them go, eventually they go for good. So again, the new concept in this session of thought labeling and thought observing. Do practice this. It does help, as I said, to sort out those thoughts and let you pick and choose those thoughts that are a comfort to you, that are positive, that serve your highest and best. Thank you. Until next time.